Everyone laughed at Arnold on the set of his first movie. But what happened next? The year was 1970. The air on the cramped, low-budget film set was thick with the acrid smell of stage lights, cheap coffee, and the faint, musty odor of rented costumes. Cables snaked across the concrete floor like industrial serpents, and the constant hum of generators provided a monotonous backdrop to the chaos. It was a small production, a forgettable comedy called Hercules in New York, and the atmosphere was one of barely contained cynicism and exhausted professionalism. In the center of this controlled chaos stood a figure that seemed utterly out of place. His physique was almost cartoonish in its proportions, muscles bulging beneath a ill-fitting toga that looked more like a bedsheet than a costume. His face, though handsome, held an expression of intense concentration mixed with barely concealed nervousness. The director, a weary man with thinning hair and perpetual circles under his eyes, called for action. Arnold Schwarzenegger, making his film debut, stepped forward to deliver his first line. His mouth opened, and out came a heavily accented, almost incomprehensible string of words. "I am Hercules, and I have come to New York to find adventure." The accent was so thick, so utterly foreign to American ears, that it took a moment for the words to register. Then a snicker erupted from somewhere behind the camera. Then another. Within seconds, the entire crew was laughing, some openly, others trying to stifle their amusement behind their hands. The sound man shook his head. The makeup artist rolled her eyes, and even the director let out a long, exasperated sigh. Arnold stood frozen, his massive frame suddenly seeming vulnerable. His face flushed crimson, not with anger, but with deep embarrassment. He looked around at the laughing faces, his blue eyes reflecting a mixture of confusion and hurt. "What is so funny?" he asked, his accent making the question almost comical. This only elicited more laughter. A grip, leaning against a lighting rig, called out mockingly, "Hey, Hercules, maybe try speaking English next time." Another crew member chimed in, "Yeah, we need subtitles for this guy." The laughter grew louder. The air grew thick with the bitter scent of humiliation and the harsh reality of Hollywood's unforgiving nature. The director, rubbing his temples, called for a break. All right, everyone calm down. Let's take 5. He then turned to Arnold, his expression a mixture of frustration and pity. "Look, kid, I don't know what to tell you. Your English is, well, it's a problem. A big problem. Maybe we can dub your voice in post-production, but honestly, I don't know if this is going to work." Arnold, his shoulders slumped, simply nodded, his jaw clenched tight. He walked off the set, the laughter still echoing in his ears, a sound that would haunt him for years to come. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. Have you ever been laughed at for trying something new? For daring to chase a dream that seemed impossible? Everyone on that set laughed at Arnold, dismissed him as a novelty, a muscle man with no talent and an incomprehensible accent. But they had no idea the sheer force of will, the relentless determination, and the unwavering belief in himself that burned within this young Austrian bodybuilder. And if you're wondering what happens next, if this humiliating experience will break him or forge him into something extraordinary, make sure you're subscribed to the channel right now. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because you won't want to miss the incredible transformation that follows. A journey that will silence every doubter and redefine what's possible in Hollywood. Arnold left the set that day, the laughter still ringing in his ears. But something inside him had shifted. The embarrassment, the humiliation, it didn't crush him. Instead, it ignited a fire, a burning determination to prove every single one of them wrong. He didn't sulk, didn't give up. He went straight to work. He enrolled in acting classes, spending hours each day studying, practicing, refining his craft. He hired a dialect coach, working tirelessly to soften his accent, to make his English more understandable, though he would eventually learn to embrace it as part of his unique appeal. The first subtle sign that Arnold was different, that he possessed something beyond just physical strength, wasn't an immediate success, but his unwavering persistence. While Hercules in New York was indeed a critical and commercial disaster, with his voice eventually dubbed over by another actor, Arnold didn't let it define him. He took every small role he could get, often as a thug or a bodyguard, roles where his physique spoke louder than his words. He watched other actors, studied their techniques, absorbed everything he could. He trained not just his body, but his mind, his voice, his presence. Years passed. The laughter from that first set faded into a distant memory, replaced by the sounds of his own growing success. He landed a role in Stay Hungry, a film that earned him a Golden Globe for New Star of the Year. The critics, who had once dismissed him, now took notice. His accent, once a liability, was now being described as distinctive and charming. He wasn't trying to be someone else. He was becoming the best version of himself, flaws and all. The revelation of Arnold's true potential, his undeniable star power, came not with a whisper, but with a thunderous roar. In 1982, he starred in Conan the Barbarian, a role that seemed tailor-made for his physique and his unique screen presence. The film was a massive success, transforming Arnold from a curiosity into a legitimate action star. His performance, though not Shakespearean, was powerful, primal, and utterly captivating. The accent, once mocked, now added to the character's exotic, otherworldly quality. Then came 1984 and The Terminator, a low-budget science fiction film directed by a relatively unknown James Cameron. It was a gamble that paid off beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Arnold's portrayal of the relentless, emotionless killing machine was iconic. His limited dialogue, delivered in that distinctive accent, became some of the most quoted lines in cinema history. "I'll be back." 3 simple words, spoken with chilling precision, that would define a generation. The film was a global phenomenon, catapulting Arnold to superstardom. The crew members who had laughed at him on that first set, if they were still in the industry, would have watched in stunned disbelief as Arnold's face appeared on billboards across the world, as his films dominated the box office, as his name became synonymous with action cinema. The director who had sighed in exasperation, who had suggested dubbing his voice, would have seen Arnold become one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood, commanding millions per film. Arnold didn't just become successful. He became a phenomenon. He starred in a string of blockbuster hits: Predator, Total Recall, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, each film bigger and more successful than the last. His accent, once a source of ridicule, was now his trademark, instantly recognizable and beloved by audiences worldwide. He had turned his perceived weakness into his greatest strength. The main confrontation, though not a direct face-to-face encounter with his early detractors, was a relentless, one-sided assault of success against doubt. Arnold's career, a meteoric rise from laughingstock to legend, served as a constant, undeniable rebuke to everyone who had dismissed him. Every blockbuster, every magazine cover, every iconic line delivered in that unforgettable accent was a silent, powerful "I told you so." Arnold's control over his own destiny was absolute. He didn't let the laughter define him, didn't let the rejection break him. He forged his own path, built his own empire, brick by brick, muscle by muscle, film by film. His technique wasn't about conforming to Hollywood's expectations, but about creating a new archetype, a new kind of hero that the world had never seen before. The climax of this silent confrontation wasn't a shouted argument, but the quiet, devastating reality of their divergent paths. Arnold, standing atop the world, a symbol of impossible achievement and unwavering determination. Those who laughed, many forgotten, their names lost to the annals of film history. while his became immortal. Years later, Arnold would reflect on that first day on set, the laughter, the humiliation. In interviews, he would speak about it not with bitterness, but with gratitude. That day, he would say, his voice still carrying that distinctive accent, was one of the most important days of my life. It showed me what I was up against. It showed me that I had to work harder than anyone else, and it gave me the fuel I needed to succeed. He became more than just an actor. He became a businessman, a philanthropist, and eventually the governor of California. He proved that success wasn't about where you started or what language you spoke or whether people believed in you. It was about believing in yourself, about working relentlessly towards your goals, and about never, ever giving up, no matter how loud the laughter. The complete defeat of the doubters was absolute. They weren't just proven wrong, they were rendered irrelevant. Their laughter, once so cutting, now seemed petty and small in the face of Arnold's monumental achievements. The change in perception was profound. The industry, once dismissive, now celebrated him as a visionary, a man who defied all odds and redefined what was possible. Arnold's story became an inspiration to millions around the world. People who had been told they weren't good enough, that their dreams were impossible, that their accents were too thick or their backgrounds too humble, looked at Arnold and saw proof that anything was possible. He became a living testament to the power of perseverance, determination, and unwavering self-belief. He continued to push boundaries, taking on roles that challenged him, that allowed him to grow as an actor and as a person. He embraced comedy in films like Twins and Kindergarten Cop, showing a lighter side that surprised and delighted audiences. He proved that he wasn't just a one-dimensional action star, but a versatile performer capable of much more. As he transitioned into politics, bringing the same determination and work ethic that had defined his acting career, the moral of the story became even clearer. The laughter from that first film set, the doubt, the rejection, it had all been fuel for an unstoppable fire. He had transformed every obstacle into an opportunity, every setback into a setup for an even greater comeback. Arnold Schwarzenegger's journey from a laughingstock on a low-budget film set to one of the most iconic figures in entertainment and politics is a testament to the power of the human spirit. It's a story that reminds us that success isn't about avoiding failure or criticism, but about how we respond to it, how we use it to fuel our ambition and drive us forward. The moral of the story echoes through the decades, a powerful message for anyone who has ever been doubted, dismissed, or laughed at. Respect isn't given freely. It's earned through relentless effort and unwavering belief in yourself. Silent doesn't mean powerless. Sometimes the person everyone laughs at carries the greatest power of all, the power to prove them all wrong and become a legend.